What's going on, everyone? We are in our pumpkin patch, kinda. So in today's episode, we're gonna talk all about the things that I've learned about growing pumpkins at scale. In today's episode, we're gonna be doing a lightning round, trying to share with you as many tips as possible in 8 minutes or less. Let's go. So we do in fact have some little pumpkins here. Are they as big as I was expecting? Absolutely not, but they are really pretty, so I can't complain. I think we're gonna find quite a few more pumpkins in here in this big weedy mess. But that leads me to the first thing that I want to touch on, which is that your pumpkins will be so much larger if you can control weed pressure. Pumpkins are very heavy feeders, and so if you have a lot of weeds, they are taking up the nutrients and the water that would otherwise go to growing larger pumpkins. To remedy this next year, we could have done it, we had the equipment to do it, but we just kind of ran out of time, and that was using plastic mulch. We can use some biodegradable corn-based plastic mulch. It's actually completely degradable. You leave it right in the ground, the beneficial bacteria break it down, or you can just go with conventional plastic mulch as well, or even you can go with the weed fabric, some type of weed suppression. Plant your plants in that. That gives them a nice head start to get large, to get growing, and then by then they should act as a mulch, which actually covers the soil so weeds don't come up. If we would have gotten out here and weeded a lot sooner, all these weeds would have not been here, or we would have had significantly less. Second tip is weeds also transmit disease like powdery mildew. You'll see here, these vines that are out in the open, we actually got out here and weeded around them with a little stirrup hoe. We weeded around these plants as best as we could, and these plants actually are still growing and green, meaning the pumpkins are obviously going to be a lot larger. But check it out, look at this. We have another beautiful pumpkin here. This one almost looks fake. It's so beautiful. I can't get over, it's not the biggest pumpkin in the world, but that's fine. It is so pretty. It's just the most beautiful color orange. It's like a cheddar orange. My goodness, I am in love with these pumpkins, despite some mistakes and despite some floops and flounders. They're doing okay, and I'm really happy to see these pumpkins here. So when you have powdery mildew, that will take the plants out a lot sooner. So make sure you use a good fungicide. Organic fungicide like copper fungicide would work as well. Spray your plants down, but also keeping weed pressure down will help to let the leaves dry out so that they can stay growing longer. Also, fertilize. Fertilize. Make sure you feed your plants with a good all-purpose fertilizer, primarily with a focus on nitrogen, because that's also going to encourage more leafy green growth early on, which will give you a larger plant, and that should give you larger pumpkins. Next tip is make sure you don't plant them in a low area. We planted a bunch of plants out here. Big mistake. We didn't realize just how low this land was. We just got some rain last night. We got about a ½ inch of rain, and where I am standing is squishy. Pumpkins do not like wet feet, and even if they do get wet feet for a short period of time, it exacerbates stem rot, it exacerbates powdery mildew. You will lose more pumpkins than you gain by putting them in a wet area. This is also evidenced by the tall grass over here. Tall grass, we got some beautiful pumpkins growing. Short grass, not even the grass wants to grow. It's marshy and swampy and a little sticky and gooey. We start getting up in elevation, we get some more pumpkins over here, and the grass is taller. So again, notice your land, see the low spots, avoid it. Next tip I got for you guys is make sure you spray for pests. Squash bugs, squash vine borers, they absolutely can ruin your crop. Squash bugs and squash vine borers can be remedied by using a couple things. One is BT. We use BT early on to prevent squash vine borer. That is a little caterpillar, little grub that crawls into the base. It's spread by the squash moth, and that little caterpillar, little grub, will actually crawl into the stem of the squash or the pumpkin, hollow out the stem and the vascular system of the plant, and it will eventually rot and just kind of wither and die. Squash bugs can be remedied with spinosad. Now, spinosad works on squash vine borer and squash bugs, but you got to use it early and use it as a preventative, even if you don't notice signs of the problem, because we're growing pumpkins at a kind of a key time when squash bugs and squash vine borers are present. You got to spray. You absolutely have to spray. Otherwise, you're going to get nothing at all, and your plants are going to get absolutely decimated. So make sure you spray spinosad or BT, or even both. Alternate them, break them up a little bit, spray every other week or so, and you should have way less pest pressure and a whole lot more pumpkins to show for it. and you're doing it organically, which is great. Next tip is watering. Water as much as you possibly can, within reason, obviously, because the more water you can give your plants, the bigger the pumpkins are going to be. Pumpkins are a fruit, and fruit is about 95% water. Now, pumpkins don't like to be drenched all the time, otherwise you're gonna get root rot, damping off, powdery mildew, stem rot, and things like that, like we just talked about. But as long as the soil is drying out in between waterings, you can put them on a steady drip irrigation. Drip irrigate them, every other day, every 3 days or so. As long as the soil is drying out, like I said, you should be totally fine. Now, the best times to water are before the pumpkin starts to ripen. After the pumpkin starts to even get any color whatsoever, the dark green phase is the best time to water, because that's going to give the pumpkins the largest opportunity to start to get larger, obviously. As soon as they start to blush and start to turn slightly yellow, forget about it. They're basically done. They're gonna ripen. They will get a little bit larger, but they won't get much larger after that point. So you wanna water early and water frequently to get the best results. Now let's go check out a different pumpkin patch, because I think we got some to even harvest. Check it out, you guys. Look at this. This beautiful, beautiful pumpkin. It is known as Godiva, and it is ripe. This is absolutely stunning. I am so excited about this. This is something that I've been wanting to grow for a very long time. We grew it a couple years ago, absolutely loved it. They make some of the best roasted pumpkin seeds you can possibly imagine, because you don't have to chew them and shell them. Just literally, you cut this pumpkin open and the seeds are, they're holeless. It's so unique, it's so odd, but they are absolutely amazing. And I actually stepped on this when the weeds were all up around this. I didn't see it here. So this is gonna be a bit of a hide and seek game to try to find these pumpkins, but they are absolutely beautiful. They're about, I'd say it's about 3.5, 4 pounds or so. And we should have a decent amount of these. We planted out about 3,000 square feet. It was about 50 plants in total. Obviously not all the plants survived. The weeds definitely had their part in reducing yields, but I see another one right over here. I'm gonna trample down where we got our pumpkins. I'm gonna trample down some weeds here so I can kind of make a spot for them, but I've got one pumpkin right here. I got another pumpkin over here. Look at that. So they are absolutely beautiful. I got another pumpkin that's not fully ripe, but they're like falling off the vine because the vines are so rotted out. But we'll see. We'll see. If anything, it's a really pretty looking pumpkin. There's got to be some more around here. Yes, there's another one. Oh, there's two. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. You don't even see them until you're basically on top of them. There's this one, and then there's another one that's right next to it. So the other tip that I've got for you that we'll end on here is when you plant an early maturing pumpkin, the plants typically grow quite fast, and that helps you to combat weed pressure. As these plants are growing, they're suppressing weeds, but they're also up and producing far earlier than the weeds can get up and producing. Because when we tilled this spot up here, it took about 5 to 6 weeks for the weeds to grow. Once the weeds start growing, game over. So if you get that extra little jump start, it can help the plants kind of give them a fighting chance, if you will. But we're gonna keep walking through here. Oh, hello, hi, pumpkin. And we're gonna keep picking pumpkins here. Now, if they're ripe, if they're not ripe, that's fine, because the vines are, like I said, the vines are dead. They're not gonna get any more ripe. So we're gonna wade through here, try to find some more pumpkins. It's like a watermelon. Oh, it's so cool. That is beautiful. Oh my goodness. It's like my favorite time of the year, pumpkin patch season. Now all I need is a pumpkin spice latte and my wife to be here. Significant others, pumpkin patches, apple orchards, 70-degree weather. It's perfect. So we're gonna get to picking these pumpkins here. Like I said, there's quite a few more to harvest. I just gotta find them. So we're gonna turn the camera off, do all the harvesting. Like I said, even if they are green and starting to ripen, we're gonna pick them because they're not gonna do any more ripening out in this field. So whatever we get is what we get. Exciting stuff. Let's go. So there we go. There is the Godiva pumpkin harvest. I gotta say, I'm pretty pleased with what we got. Now, am I thrilled? Okay, that'd be a stretch. But am I pleased? Yeah, because when I saw all the weeds overtaking, ultimately, it was a growth year for the farm. We bit off definitely more than we could chew in an attempt to see what we could handle. We knew that we were overextending ourselves. from the, 3 different pumpkin patches to 2 new garden beds to planting 1,200 fruit trees to getting everything all built and established. I mean, this was not a multi-year thing. This was 6-7 months worth of work. So we knew that when we planted out the pumpkin patch and we saw the weeds overtaking it and all the other to-dos that we had, we just said, man, honestly, let's just hope for the best. So the fact that I got this many pumpkins we planted 50 plants. By all means, say what you want. I'm a big boy, I can take it. But I will say that I'm pleased I got something because I was expecting nothing. So I'm happy with what we got. And we learned some very valuable lessons that we're going to apply next year. We're going to put down some weed fabric. We're going to start them at the correct time. We're going to fertilize frequently with a high nitrogen fertilizer. We're going to probably hook them up to drip irrigation so we can irrigate them a little more effectively. And yeah, we're going to spray them down with a fungicide as a preventative, spray them down with a pesticide as a preventative, both organic. And I think next year, it's only up from here. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully y'all learned something new. If anything, you learned what not to do from my mistakes, but also don't be afraid to bite off more than you can chew because you learn what you can handle. So as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Fall is here at the farm. It's good times. Grow bigger, everybody. We'll catch you later. See ya. Bye.